Hey, what's up, guys? This is Anastasia, the CEO and founder of the Sage Dynasty, located within Houston, Texas. Today's video will be an addition to the mental health series that I am developing in honor of May being the mental health month that it is. I wanted to share a bit of my personal experiences with life, with the hopes of being able to create change and at least provide some insight as to how a lot of relationships develop. Now, for those who know me, hello, hey, welcome to my channel. For those who don't, I am a domestic violence survivor. I went viral on socials talking about my story, and honestly, I decided to develop this channel because there were so many people who just didn't understand how people wind up in the dynamic that is abuse. Now, for me, I most certainly can't speak for everyone else. I can only tell you my story, which is why we're here today. Also, I am an author, published book, find me on Amazon, where I talk about in deep detail a lot of the content that I'll talk about here, but I wanted to express myself in more than one way because we are more than one type of person. So if you want a reader and you want more of a YouTuber, I wanted to just still kind of encourage and speak to the platform in that way. So let's just jump right into things and go from there. So we're gonna start this is the second episode of the series. In this episode, I will talk about the very beginning in childhood. Now, to understand abuse and how it works and the dynamic that is built between both the abuser and the person being abused, you have to understand both sides of the story. Now, I'm not one to necessarily talk about my abuser, but I have to, and that'll come later in, within the videos. But right now, we're going to focus on myself being abused and what led me into the relationship with multiple abusive partners. So unfortunately, I am one of 4 fatherless girls. I was born and raised in Mississippi, East Mississippi, and there was no knowledge of abuse for me. I felt like if I wasn't being hit physically, then I wasn't being abused. And this all started from childhood. So the environment that I grew up in, early childhood, definitely what you experience as a child bleeds into who you become as an adult. My earliest memories started at about maybe 8 or 9 or so, and they all are very dramatic. I don't remember being a young child. I remember some of my first memories were developed from my environment. Okay, so unlike some people, they are taken. CPS took me and my siblings away from my mother. We don't know who our fathers are. I don't think that there's a way to find that out. And trust me when I say that I have made peace with that space of my life. I'm not concerned about it to the least bit. I'm very proud of the woman that I am and the woman that I have became. So I'm not really vested in the beginnings, only the end. And unfortunately, there are many people in this world who share my same story, which is why I'm dedicating myself and my story to the community, hoping to create that change that we spoke about. So 8-year-old me, maybe so, 8 or 9 years old. I remember growing up I was taken away from my mother, very young age. Can't really confirm what age that was, but I was placed back with my genetic family. I was placed in my grandmother's home, who also was narcissistic. So the environment that I grew up in early on, I had no self-value, no self-worth, no self-love. I didn't know those were things. I knew that my mother was mentally ill, and at that time I thought maybe perhaps she had drug addictions because I'm an 80s baby, and in the 90s we only talked about alcoholism, drug abuse, things of that nature, but there was not a lot of information given to the community in regards to mental health issues. The older me understands that she suffers from narcissism as well, and the disconnect that I felt was because of that dynamic. Okay, so most times my family spent time about arguing about who had custody, right? But nobody actually had care. Nobody took the incentive to care for myself or my siblings, excuse me. They just kind of fussed about, guardianship, if you will. Me and my older sibling knew that we were placed in the home, and the only reason why my grandmother would entertain it is because there were benefits associated with adopting a child. So it was a constant conversation that was, oftentimes we'd hear, hey, there's a check involved. There is Social Security benefits. There is food stamp benefits. Those benefits were given or issued in my name, but I unfortunately wasn't a recipient of a lot. I still had to deal with the abuse faucets, going into to school, not necessarily having the clothes that I needed, not necessarily having the shoes that I needed, very, very neglected, hair wasn't cared for, and that kind of affected my relationships that I could have with my peers, because I was seen as unwanted, and I grew up with that deep-seated self-hate, if you will. I didn't find any value into myself until later on in life. So, that was that. Childhood was very dramatic. It was very traumatic. And anytime that I spoke out about anything that was going on, because I was the talker, I've always been the talker, I could say, hey, this doesn't seem right, or this doesn't feel right, because even though I was young, I knew that I wasn't being treated well. I did have small connections with a few friendships, and I could see the dynamics of other people's homes, and it didn't seem like what was going on in their house was the same thing that was going on in my house, and it was very obvious that there was some type of disconnect. Although I didn't know what it was, I just knew that it wasn't normal. So anytime that I did speak out about things, I was definitely punished for it. I had a school counselor in my adolescent years that kind of pulled me to the side and asked a few questions about my home life and, my presentation. And although I didn't have a lot of the things that my peers had, I always made it a point to go to class, and I still showed up. I still did the best that I could, and I made really good grades. So there was always a concern, an underlying concern about me and why I was so quiet and why I seemed so distant. So I found resolve in a guidance counselor at my school. And I'm going to end this video today with that being the next topic that I'll talk about. The guidance counselor who was the first person who lended me a hand to hopefully change my life. Now, being that I'm older now, this is, I'm in my mid-30s. I don't know who this woman is. I couldn't tell you who she was, physically, but most certainly that woman did some wonderful things for me, just as well as a lot of people who came along the way that did. But we will talk about her on the next episode. So don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, all that cool stuff. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.